This is Your Mustang Story.
In this episode, we meet Chris Valdez, who went from a two-barrel base model in beige to a Shelby in black. It's a threefer, as each step in his Mustang story was distinct and an adventure. Also, a new feature today as we present Your Mustang Story Diary. Now, the diary is where those of you with a Mustang story that you want to share but would rather tell anonymously, it still gets its time in the sun. It's those kinds of stories that are, well, just listen. You'll get it in this episode of Your Mustang Story. Welcome to the show, Chris Valdez, someone I know very well, and I'm very, very happy to have on the show with me today. What do you do for a living?
I work for a company called Airgas, and I work in the safety department as a safety specialist.
Chris, tell us how your Mustang story began.
It began probably 1989. I was about 19 years old, something like that. And I was just driving down the street and I saw this car for sale. Didn't know what kind of car it was, just something that caught my attention. So I pulled over to look at it. Turned out to be a 71 Mustang Coupe. Didn't know anything about Mustangs at the time. It just looked cool to me. And I looked at it, contacted my best friend at the time. I said, you need to explain this car to me. I don't know anything about Mustangs. Come and look at it. And he looked at it, called the owner, made a deal, and ended up with my first Mustang.
Well, what color was it?
At that time, it was all stock. Still had the original hubcaps on it. Everything was original in it. It was like a tan.
Oh, beige, like a beige.
Yeah, beige, yeah.
And was it a V8, a 4-speed? Or?
It was a V8 automatic. It was a 302 two-barrel. It had the C4 transmission in it. When I looked at it, because I didn't know anything about cars then, it said 302 2V. And so I called my buddy, I go, what does this mean? So he had to explain it to me.
Yeah.
And, but
some people still don't know it means Venturi. That it stands for the number of holes in the car, basically. This is incredible because when you consider that you started out with that particular Mustang,
yes,
where you are today is quite different. Almost like the distance between us and the farthest galaxy.
Yes.
Beyond the Hubble's capability. So tell us how you went from the 71 Mustang Coupe, beige, automatic, dog dish hubcaps, to where you are today. And then we'll tell the audience what you're driving today.
I bought the car, and I didn't know anything about Mustangs. I joined the Rio Grande Mustang Club at that time, and I said, I'm not going to do a thing to it. Well, I ended up wrecking it.
Oh.
So I had to get it fixed. I'm just under the door. I hit the curb. And so I decided to get that fixed. One thing led to another. I ended up rebuilding the entire car from bumper to bumper, top to bottom. Put a new engine, transmission, rear end. I redid everything in this car.
He's showing me a beautiful, gunmetal gray coupe with beautiful aftermarket wheels. Does not look like a beige automatic to me.
No. This wasn't the end goal, but when I wrecked it, one thing led to another. And I just couldn't stop until what you see in this picture here is that's when I finally stopped. And of course, this is 30 years ago. 31 years ago. So
how did that one pass out of your hands? And then what did you do? What was your next Mustang?
So what happened with this one, I was coming around a corner. It was wet. I think it was in the wintertime. And I hit a dip, lost control, and pretty much totaled.
Oh, my. Now, let's think of something positive. What was the best memory you have? What was the best story or best adventure you had with that?
The best memory I have is I just turned 21. I was heading to Amarillo for a car show, Amarillo car show up there. And went by myself. It was, 5, 6 in the morning. I ran out of gas a mile from the next gas station.
Oh, no.
And so I started pushing my car, and then finally the road started to incline, and I couldn't push anymore. And a state trooper pulled up behind me, and he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Well, I just ran out of gas. I have a gas can in my car." But and he said, "I'll give you a ride." Very intimidated. State trooper pulls out of nowhere, and he's helping me. I'm like I said, 21 years old at the time, and I'm very calm and quiet. I'm just nervous, and I remember it with his accent. He goes, "Where about you from, son?" I said, "Albuquerque." And I told him I was here for a car show. So he gave me a ride to the gas station, filled up my 1-gallon jug I had with me. He brought me back to my car. He goes, "I'm going to wait here until you get it started and make sure you're on your way."
Awesome.
It started. Thank God it started. And I went to that gas station. And
made it to the gas station.
Made it to the gas station.
Excellent.
And then the following year, I went back to the same car show. And this time I had a blowout almost in the exact same area.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not sure what happened. If I hit something, what just blew out my tires. So when I got to the car show, I was covered in grease and oil. And when I was checking in, I said, "What happened to you?" I go, "You're never going to believe what happened." And I had my spare tire on. And I was just filthy. And then they ended up giving me the at that time, they had a trophy called the Hard Luck Award.
Hard Luck Award, yeah.
I still have it to this day in my garage.
If they only knew about the previous year,
Yeah, so I still have that. So those are the two fond memories I have.
Wow, amazing.
I took this car. We used to go to Tucson for their car show up there. This picture here was from Breckenridge, Colorado, when we went out there for that show.
So this car really brought you the Mustang fever. You
Yes.
definitely, at that point, you had not one but two Mustang stories, or three or four actually, after rebuilding it
Yes,
and
this
everything.
is my first. This is how I got into this.
Well, I think it'll become certified, guaranteed. How shall I say, with oak leaf clusters. Once you tell what your current Mustang is.
Well, I got a story between this one.
Oh, okay. What could fit between a beige 2-barrel coupe and a sweet high-revving Shelby? Stay tuned.
Your Mustang Story returns after this.
Boy, you got everything. Wow. Tell me, excuse me. Tell me, what gives you the biggest kicks?
Well, number one?
Yeah, which one?
Mustang.
Yeah.
Number one, there's Mustang. Mustang Mach 1 for 1970. Shaker up front, spoiler in the back, and a 428 in between. Ford gives you better ideas. It's the going thing.
Time to open up your Mustang Story diary.
Inside today's Your Mustang Story diary is a story from an FM. We'll just call him Mac for short. He writes, in 1995, I entered my poppy red 1965 Mustang Fastback at the annual Car Club show. My friend Chuck and I were standing behind my car when three folks, a father and two lovely teenage daughters, came down the passenger side of my car. Both ladies were running their right hand down the side of the car. We said nothing. They did the same thing up the driver's side of the car. When the father got to the front windshield, he read my note and had the ladies read the note as well, which said, "Do not touch this car unless you are in the nude." Chuck then piped up with, "Okay, ladies, take it off." Totally embarrassed, they had no idea what to do. But we all, including Dad, had a good laugh. If you have a good story for the diary, send it to us at contact@yourmustangstory.com.
Now, more of your Mustang Story.
So after I wrecked this one, I moved to Arizona in 95, and I bought a 70 Mach 1
Well, there you
with
go.
a shaker hood on it, 351 Windsor, and I wanted to get back into it.
Well, you got back into it in a real serious
Yes,
and
and
profound,
I was so
profound
excited,
way.
so excited to have this car, And then a couple years into the ownership, I was doing my taxes, and my tax guy said, "Hey, you owe X amount of money." I go, "What are you talking about?" Turned out my ex-wife now, she made a mistake on our taxes. So we had this huge bill, and I didn't want to get stuck with that burden with interest and all that. So I had to sell my 70 Mach 1.
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
And
so now we know why she's an ex.
that's why, that's one of the many. But yeah, so I sold it, and I told myself, well, I'm young enough. I'll get another Mustang.
And this time, Chris,
And
I'll
this-
remember the carpenters saying, measure twice, cut
Yes.
once. Yeah.
So I didn't realize it would take 25 years later
Wow.
before I got my current Shelby now.
That's something else. Now you've let the secret out of the bag bit there. Let's tell the audience what you own now. And first, it's amazing car.
So now last year, I bought a 2017 Shelby Mustang GT350. At that time, I wasn't looking for a Shelby. I just wanted another Mustang. My sister was living in Vegas at the time, so I was going to visit her a lot. And one day I was Googling something, and the Shelby Museum in Vegas came up.
All right.
All the years I've been there, I'd never heard of it.
Wow.
And so I said, well, I'm going to go visit my sister. I'm going to go stop at this museum, just check it out. When I walked in there, I was just amazed at the Shelby history. I really didn't know who Carroll Shelby was. Didn't know anything about him, really. But when I went to this museum, I just fell in love with Shelby. And so every time I visit my sister, I always stopped at the Shelby Museum.
Yeah.
And then based on that, I told myself, I'm not going to get a Mustang, I'm going to get a Shelby.
The Shelby Heritage Museum did the trick.
Yes.
Yeah. It's an amazing place.
Yes, and every time I go to Vegas, I always stop there. I always buy something, shirt, something like that. But because of that museum, I just fell in love with Carroll Shelby, and I told my wife that I'm buying one.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it took me
We're the adoration.
It took me about a year and a half to find the exact one I wanted. I was in no hurry. I just wanted to make sure it was going to be perfect. And I spent a year and a half searching around the country for it. And I would look almost every day for this one.
The 350 is a very
Yes.
special Shelby. That model of Shelby is very
Yes.
special.
They only made it from 2015 to 2020. And I knew exactly what I wanted. I didn't know what year. I just knew what I knew what I wanted. So year and a half of searching. I remember I was going to sleep on a Saturday night. I looked at my web place. I always searched. Didn't see anything. Woke up Sunday morning, jumped on the phone like I always did. And my car popped up. And I go, I don't remember seeing this last night. So I looked again, and I called the guy. I said, I want it. Take it off. I'll buy it right now.
That's pretty strong. And he was wondering, who's this on the phone? Is this one of my friends pranking me?
And this guy was from North Carolina. That's where I got the car. And I told him, take it offline. I want it. I will buy it. And it took me going through the bank and this and that. It was about 6 weeks before I finally had it delivered at my house.
Okay, well, if that included delivery, it seems reasonable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the day I was supposed to have it shipped out, it snowed. In North Carolina at the guy's house. And I was just dying to have this car because I was just excited. I called him. I said, did the trailer show? He goes, Chris, it's snowing. He's not going to come. And I didn't believe him. So I said, send me pictures. He sent me a bunch of pictures. He had about 2 or 3 inches of snow at his house. And I said, okay, well, let me cancel it. And it took another week or two
to get them connected and get it on board.
To get it here. And so the guy said, okay, well, we're going to pick it up on this day. We'll have it delivered on this day. And I said, all right. So we were supposed to meet in the little Walmart in Edgewood, New Mexico, which is 15 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 o'clock. So I get there and I'm waiting. And I'm waiting for my car to show up, and I'm waiting. And an hour later, I call the guy. I go, where are you? Because you're not going to believe us, but we had a blowout.
Oh, no.
I go, where are you right now? He goes, well, we're in Moriarty at a truck stop.
Oh, man.
I go, I will be right there.
Yeah.
So I jumped in my car, went over there.
That's only about 12 miles away.
Yes. Something like, yeah.
From Edgewood.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I went over there, found him. I said, my name is Chris. I'm the owner of this car. I go, what's the story? He goes, well, we're going to be here all night because we have to wait to get our truck service.
Yeah.
I go, well, can I take it right now? Because you can take it right now if you want. I said,
yeah.
Unload it.
Unload that bad boy.
So they had maybe 5 other cars in this trailer. So he had to pull one by one to get to mine. And I just remember.
Good man.
Watching it, videotaping it, and I was just so excited. And I remember he pulled off the trailer, he parked it, and I signed some paperwork, and I said, are we done? He goes, yeah, this is your car, and you can take it home. And I remember sitting in it, starting in it. It's like, how does this car, it's been years since I've driven a Standard, and I was trying to figure out, how do I start this car? I just didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And I took it home, and I put because I bought some aftermarket rims I wanted to put on it.
Yeah.
So I loaded it in the car, I went straight to a tire place and had them exchange it right away, and then I came back home, and that's it.
Man. And I think for the audience, it'd be interesting to note that Albuquerque's the big city in New Mexico. And then if you travel east, Edgewood's the next town with a Walmart that you would come to.
Yes.
Beyond that is Moriarty, which is a rural farm town, heavily agricultural. And it has a truck stop and a few restaurants and one tire shop and a glider museum, and that's
yes.
it. It's known for its soaring gliders. Well, the thing about it is, Chris took delivery of this car in the absolutely best place possible you could take possession of a Shelby, where there'll be like an interstate with no cops.
Yeah.
So I kind of picture in my head that the ride home was a blast.
Well, since I didn't know anything about the car and I want to wreck it, I was driving like an old grandpa.
Oh, that's right.
To get it home.
Safety guy.
Yeah,
right.
safety.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't want to do anything too dangerous, not knowing how the car operated.
I would have wanted to see just how that voodoo sounds when it's all cranked up.
Yeah, it took a while before I did that. So when I got the car, I did research. I looked at everything to understand how the car worked, operated, because I wanted to maintain it, and
yes.
I want to take care of it. So before I got too crazy on it.
Yeah, your safety officer is showing.
Yes, I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing, and make sure the public was as safe as I was. But now that I know how the car works, I have had a year and a half. I've opened it up a couple of times.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It is
a little
fantastic.
Scary, but a lot of fun.
It's a fantastic automobile.
I love driving it. I'd highly recommend anyone get one.
Everybody back east, I want you to know you'd be exceedingly jealous of the roads we have out here that go for 100 miles in any direction you want to go, and it's just wide open. Your big threat is antelope.
Yeah.
So anyway, I want to ask now, what's the most fun you've had with the 350?
The most fun, my first year when I had it last year, I went to 22 plus car shows. This year, I've already been to 15. And the thing about it is that you would think the adults will like my car, but it's more kids. Little kids seem to really like my car for whatever reason. It attracts them. And so whenever I see it, when I'm at a car show and I see a kid that really shows an interest, I tell them, you can sit in it if you want and take pictures. And they get so excited because a lot of car owners don't allow that. Anytime I see a kid who shows some interest in it, I always tell them, hey, get in it, take pictures. And it's just, it's like an amusement ride.
I seem to remember an incident you had like that with a young man that he actually came back with his dad.
Yes. I was at a Father's Day car show in Edgewood, and I was just sitting there minding my own business, and his father and his 13-year-old son walked up to me. And the dad started asking me questions like where I was from, and I thought it was kind of unusual. I don't know who this guy is. Why does he want information about me? And And he was asking me if I was from Albuquerque. And I said, well, why? My son saw this car at a restaurant, and we just want to know if it's the same one. And I told him, well, I only take this car for car shows. I don't drive it other than car shows. And he goes, well, my son took a picture of it. So while I'm talking to the dad, his son is looking for his picture. And the son pulls this picture up and he goes, is this the same car? I look, I go, yeah, that's my car. Or this dad told me that his son liked it so much, he took a picture of it, that picture he showed me, and he blew it up into a poster. He sent it to a store to make a poster out of it, and he has it hanging in his room.
Awesome.
And so I'm talking to the son, I go, did you really do it? He goes, yes. And that was probably the biggest compliment I've ever received on my car, was that this little 13-year-old just happened to be in a park lot, saw my car, took a picture of it, and now it's hanging in his room.
Well, the car is poster worthy. I mean, you could make posters and sell them at a car show with the beauty of this car. Solid black, red, accents, just absolutely.
And so talking to this kid, I said, you know what? You want to sit in my car? You want to take pictures? And his eyes just lit up. He sat in there, and I go, just take as many pictures as you want. His mom was there taking pictures of him. So I didn't get his name. I wish I would have got his name and number to just to see. Yeah. I would have liked to have got to his house just to see it. Talk to him.
Yeah, talk to him more.
Maybe I'll run into him at another car show, but
I bet you will.
That was probably the best memory of owning that car so far, is this little 13-year-old kid who took a picture of a car and made it into a poster.
So you mentioned that you go to car shows, and you're also part of a MCA charter club.
Yes.
So what are some of your favorite club activities?
I mean, there's many. I like the cruises. I like to do that. We buy these cars to show them off. We don't just buy them to park them. I like doing activities like that. I like to go to car shows as a club.
We do that
because we like to it's not just showing off our cars, but it's trying to get people interested, especially the young kids. Once we can get them interested in this, and this is something that they're going to prolong past my lifetime.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do, recruit the younger generation to take over where we are now.
I think we're having some effect, but I hope we have more effect as the future rolls on. I know that the other clubs, Kansas City, South Dakota, Seattle, back east, they're all doing activities that would really lend themselves to that. So I'm real proud of all the MCA clubs out there, all the MCA club members. You guys are doing a smashing job. Keep up the good work.
It promotes our sport.
Yes.
It promotes the brand.
Our hobby. Yes, it does. So what's your next Mustang trip or show that you want to go to?
My next show is going to be in a couple of weeks here in Albuquerque at the Marriott. Every year, the Mattel or Hot Wheels group, they have a world
national,
come to Albuquerque
Matchbox
every year.
Cars.
Yeah, yes.
So here we are. Look at that.
So July 22nd, they'll be here. So I went to that show last year, and it was very interesting to see. You would think you'd be little kids there, but grown men having fun with these cars like they're 5 years old again.
Yeah, I reached out to the president and said, hey, man, do you have any white 68 coupes? Basic.
And so when I was there last year, I was trying to talk to a couple guys to see, hey, can you take a picture of my car and make a Hot Wheels car out of it? They said, no, we don't do that.
I'll bet you'll find one, because that car is very, very special. It's like you say, they only made a few years, and they're rare to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, thanks for being on the show. I really enjoyed it, the stories of your early days as well as the more recent stories. And I'm looking forward to meeting all the Matchbox people at the end of July. That's gonna be a lot of fun too. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, this
really
was great.
Great time.
It's nice to finally talk about my first Mustang, because I just don't talk about it anymore. And it just brings back memories. And I still have pictures from my first car shows with this car that I still have. And when I look back, I can't believe it's been 30 plus years.
Chris, thanks for being on the show, and we really appreciate you sharing your complete Mustang story with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Your Mustang Story. Please share on social media and tell your Mustang friends about us so that we can continue to grow and provide you with great Mustang stories from across the country. And thanks. See you next time.
The views and opinions expressed on Your Mustang Story are solely those of the participants and do not necessarily represent Spirited USA or its sponsors. Send questions and comments to contact@yourmustangstory.com. Join us next time for Your Mustang Story.